All right, welcome everybody at 6 o'clock. If you'll have a seat. Okay, I am Mahoney. I'm the Adult Services Specialist here at the library. Garland County Justice of the Peace Candidates Forum. It happens to be on the same night as the vice presidential debate, but I wanted to be known I had this date first. In fact, I had this date so long ago, we didn't even know who either of the VP nominees was going to be. Hopefully, we'll make it home in time to tune into that not too late. Depends on how long these candidates get going. You know how candidates are. If you will go ahead and silence or put your cell phones on vibrate, I'm sure one will go off anyway, but let's try to minimize that. This is being recorded on the library's YouTube channel. That's also shared on Facebook, so you can watch this recording in its entirety as soon as this is over and share that. And pretty soon in the coming days, we'll try and send a clip to each one of the candidates' email addresses with their section clicked out for that timestamp there. So before we get going, there are a few people I'd like to invite to say some words first, the first of which is my boss's boss, the county. Yes, Darryl Mahoney. I invited him to speak briefly on the importance of this JP job with the Justices of the Peace do on the quorum court, since they work so very closely with the county judge. So please welcome Judge Mahoney.
Thank you, Paul. One thing I took away from that was you pronouncing your last name, because I've always wondered how to say it. I didn't know how to say it, but now I learned something. But I think before we start, it would be very fitting if we did pledge allegiance, don't you? You can stand, please stand, remove your cover, and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Thank you all for doing that. So, the importance of justice of the peace. You know, there's several levels that a justice of the peace can function on. One, of course, you can marry people. And believe it or not, when I was a justice of the peace, I got a lot of calls to marry people. I haven't had time to do it since I've been a judge, but I've married quite a few people, and I always tell them, hey, I'm tying the knot, I'm tying it strong. If you loosen it, I'll come find you. Well, about 50% of them, I think. I didn't go find them, but it's just that in today's world that we live, it's just like that. So as a justice of the peace, as a quorum court member, you'll be assigned to a committee, and then that committee votes on whether you're going to get to be the chair or the vice chair or whatever you're going to be. And the other part of that is those committees seek out individual things brought to me. Like, let's just say Gene wants to bring something about the election commission, and it's really a public welfare issue that he brings to me. So I assign that to the Public Health, Welfare, and Safety Committee, and it goes to that committee first. And then after that committee, if it's approved to move on, it will go to Ordinance Committee, which some of you will be assigned to, and then it will go on to the full quorum court if it passes all of those. So we try to get everything that we do in front of two committees, so there's ample time for public comment, and there's also ample time for each justice of the peace to do their research and find out what they want to do. There's some things that I was a justice of the peace for 10 years, and there's a lot. You get a lot of questions. You'll get a lot of questions you can't answer, and rather than just answering them, feel free to call. If you got a question about something we don't know, we'll find it. But there are a lot of people that call you. You know, what am I going to do about this barking dog next door? I've got a barking dog. It's in a dog's nature to bark. If you don't want the barking dog next door to you, then you probably shouldn't live in rural America. Because people are going to have a dog. Have it sitting in your window all the time. I understand that. But you know that the quorum court, the present quorum court, has chosen to leave Garland County as rural as they can, and still have peace of mind for everybody that they can provide this for. And that's what we strive for with each quorum court as we move forward. A word of advice to each of you. watch where you put your signs. I've had 3 calls today of individuals putting signs on the highway, attaching them to a highway sign, attaching them to a telephone pole, setting them in the right way. You know, Garland County does not have the manpower to go around and pick all those up, but I can tell you from experience, if they're in an RDOT right away, they'll wind up in a big pile out of the maintenance barn out there. You go through there, sort through 500 signs that are out there, or if you're lucky, they'll mow it up when they're mowing and you won't have to go out there and pick it up. But there's just, you know, that sets a bad example. You are leaders of the community. And so it sets a bad example when you do something like that. Just there's plenty of places to put it. You've all got plenty of people that are supporting you. I know everyone that's running this year for the quorum court. I know all of you. I know some of you more than others, but I know each and every one of you. And I know that each of you have the same thing in mind that I do, and that's the best interest of the community. Sometimes we may disagree how we get there, but in the end, we all agree that we want the best for our community. And I commend each and every one of you that has stepped up and are willing to put yourself out here in this public forum. You know, those of you that have served on the committees and served on the quorum court can attest to the fact that there are times that the community is not so kind to you. And I commend you for putting yourself in this position. It's hard on your family, it's hard on you, but just know that sometimes all those people want is just somebody to listen to. And they come across as really harsh, but they really just want somebody to listen to them 9 times out of 10. And if you can get them some information and take them back to you, I've made some of the best friends I've ever had. Somebody that called me just mad as heck because I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do. So commend you. I wish you all the very best. I know that next year is going to be exciting for us. We've got a lot of new things happening. We're going to have a senior center coming out of the ground next year. Jimmy Young and I worked hard on it. All the quorum court has worked hard on it. We have a fantastic group, and we have a fantastic community. So time to get started. We want to get home and see the debate. When Paul said that he got this date before we knew who the vice presidential candidates were, heck, a week ago, we didn't know who. But I appreciate the opportunity to speak, Paul, and I'm going to be over to the side and listen to everything, because this is my business right here. And I thank you very much, Paul.
Okay, next up, just a few quick remarks as well from Garland County Election Commissioner Gene Haley, so we can just go over the timeline of the upcoming election.
Thanks, Paul. In the back of the room, I've got some little pink sheets, and it has all the polling locations, dates, and times. And on the back of it are the 3 issues that are on the ballot. We need to encourage everyone to study those issues, because that's really what slows down the election process. This is just a brief breakdown of it, but there's places on the bottom that tells you where you can go to get more information about those. But we have 7 early voting locations. It starts on October 21st. 2 full weeks, Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, 2 Saturdays, 10 to 4, at all 7 locations. The very last Monday, state law says we have to close at 5 o'clock. Election day is Tuesday, November 5th, 17 locations. Those same 7 early voting locations, plus 10 additional locations. Also on our website, garlandcountyvote.org, you'll find a list of these locations, and if they have any special rules about electioneering. Like the judge says, signs tend to be the biggest problem. The Election Commission controls the building where we vote 100 feet from the front door. If somebody has a sign 101 feet, you can complain to me about it, but I can't listen. I can't do anything about it. I'm not legally able to touch that sign outside 100 feet. If it's inside, I'm taking it down. If it's outside 100 feet, I can't do anything about it. At our Election Commission building, it's county property. County does not allow unattended signs on the property. You can attach them to the fence. The parking lot is for voters only. People out there campaigning need to park somewhere else during the election, because we need those spaces for voters. We're using Bill Edwards Center, which is right next to the airport, the old city water department building. City has the same type policy, no electioneering, but they have granted a space that says you can put signs in this space. Go to our website, there's a picture of it, exactly where that space is. But you have to remember that any space outside 100 feet is somebody else's property, not ours. On election day, 7:30 to 7:30. At 7:30 at night, we'll start getting the returns from early voting and absentee. And as soon as the chief judges can come back from the outlying areas, we'll have the results, and usually by 9:30, we have a pretty good feeling for our unofficial tally. We still have to do some research on a couple ballots, but we have a pretty good answer, and almost all the time it's right. That's what I've got.
Thank you, Gene. So now, last order of business, I'm going to go over the rules and introduce our guest timekeepers. So the candidates are going to speak in district order from 1 through 13. The incumbent will go first, or if there is not an incumbent running, then the person from the current or most recent incumbent's party will go first, followed by the challenger. Candidates will have 3 minutes to give a speech, followed by 5 additional minutes to answer audience questions. Candidates may choose to not use all of their allowed time in either part, but they may not give their time to other candidates, and they may not have a proxy speak on their behalf. For both the 3-minute speech and the 5-minute audience Q&A, candidates will be able to see the remaining time on the screen, but they'll also get verbal notices by our timekeepers when 1 minute, 30 seconds, and 10 seconds remains, as well as when time is up. If time runs out, please be respectful of the other candidates. I'll let you finish your sentence, but finish your sentence doesn't mean start a new one. When it comes to the 5-minute time for questions, candidates can call on whoever they choose from the audience. I'll ask the audience, you please also be respectful of the candidate's time. Keep your questions short and concise. Don't go off on stories about something going on specifically in your neighborhood. This isn't the place for that. You're taking away from the candidate's time to answer, so please keep your questions short and clear so you don't take up from their 5 minutes. And then finally, when it comes to the content, everyone's an adult, and I think the room can judge what's appropriate and respectful. It's politics, and these people are here and they want to represent you, but tough questions are fair game. But at the same time, please be mindful that this is being recorded. So use your best judgment. Please be respectful. Any questions or clarity needed from any of the candidates? Okay, so I'm going to introduce each of our timekeepers. They each have a very impressive bio, and it's hard to cut, keep things snappy. You two are just too professional. Anyway, so we have Sarah Hutzel. This is her first time joining us as a guest moderator. She's the Senior Vice President of Commercial Lending and Harvest Bank here in Hot Springs. She joined Harvest in 2009. She holds both her MBA and BBA from Henderson State University. She's a graduate of the Leadership and Banking Academy, hosted by the Arkansas Bankers Association, and she's a graduate from Leadership Hot Springs Class 32. Not the best class is 34. She's a lifelong resident of Hot Springs, where she lives with her family. She's a board member of 15 different organizations, Washington Falls Children's Youth and Family Services. She's the co-chair of the Hot Springs Women's Leadership Alliance, treasurer of Leadership Hot Springs, Lake Hamilton School District PTO, serves on the National Park College Foundation Board, and she's a member of 50 for the Future. And in 2024, she was just named the recipient of National Park College's Outstanding Alumni Award, recognized as one of Arkansas Money and Politics Within Banking. So when are you going to run for office? Also joining us, he's guest moderated a few times, Marsalis Weatherspoon. He is also a lifelong native resident of Hot Springs. He's the founder and principal of Numa 3 Solutions, an IT company which provides web presence and services to individuals, nonprofits, and small to mid-sized businesses. He holds a Bachelor of Music in Composition from HSU, and he is currently attending ASU seeking a Master of Business Administration. He's an ordained elder in the Church of God in Christ and has served as Minister of Music at Living Waters Church of God in Christ for over 10 years. He is the current president of the Hot Springs branch of NAACP, They have a booth outside doing voter registration, and he is the second vice president of the Arkansas State Conference. And he is a graduate of the Next Gen Young Professional Leadership Program. So there you go. Before we begin, I've given you 60 seconds to give a sales pitch to your organizations that are involved quite a bit. So come up here if you'd like, and then we'll get started with the candidates.
I didn't realize this was an either or on the organization that I could talk about. So I love all of them very dearly. So first, I'm going to give a shout out to Washita Children and Family Youth Services. I have been a part of that board for several years, and they do really good things in our community. They've been around for a very long time. If you don't know about them, you should look at them. But I'm also here as co-chair of the Hot Springs Women's Leadership Alliance. Our organization started last year. We have monthly luncheons, and we are dedicated to supporting women in leadership, encouraging them, mentoring, education. We've had about 15 different speakers come. We've had over 250 different women come to our luncheons here in Hot Springs. We've had other chambers of commerce reach out and ask if they could replicate our program. And we had a roundtable earlier this year that led us into joining Excel by 8, which is for affordable and reliable childcare, and then also Leadership Academy with National Park College. So I talk all day, and that becomes
Good evening. My name is Marsalis Weatherspoon. I'm president for NAACP Hot Springs, as already been stated. The mission of the NAACP is to achieve equity, political rights, and social inclusion by advancing policies and practices that expand human and civil rights, eliminate discrimination, and accelerate the well-being, education, and economic security of Black people and all persons of color. The Hot Springs branch was founded on November 11, 1942. The chapter was designated to eliminate segregation in education, employment, politics, and the community. The chapter was secretly chartered during discussions in linen closets and in homes on Malvern and Central Avenues in Hot Springs. It was often said that members kept their membership cards hidden in their shoes. So the Hot Springs branch, we meet every second Saturday at the Webb Community Center at 2 p.m. We would love to have you be a part. Save the date, January 18th, we'll be having our Dr. Martin Luther King prayer breakfast. It is the premier event of the year. So January 18th, 2025. Membership is $30 annually. Life membership is $750 one time. James Garland, our former administrator, said everybody should get a life. So let's have you at Hot Springs NAACP. Thank you.
Okay, starting with District 1, we have Justice of the Peace Micah Braughton representing the Republican Party.
Yes, I'm Micah Braughton, Justice of the Peace, District 1. I want to thank the library and all the work they've done. It's a great resource for our community. And Paul specifically, he's live streamed our quorum core meetings and committee meetings and really put a lot of time and effort into making sure the community can be involved as easily as possible. So thank you, Paul. Being involved in the county government has been one of the most rewarding things I've done in my life. Getting to serve and getting to see how things work has, it wasn't enough for me to just watch the TV and see all the things going on in the news and not get involved. So getting involved in county government has really been a blessing, and it can be tough at times. People can be hard on you, but I've really enjoyed it overall. I think we've done some great things. We've gotten additional funding for the sheriff's deputies to get higher raises. We've been able to retain sheriff's deputies much better. We were spending far too much money and time and resources and training, and then they'd go off to another county and get paid more. So we've been able to retain them, and I think that was one of the things I'm most proud of. Also, the correction facility, we've been able to open up all the pods, and which is very important. If you have people committing serious crimes and you can't hold them, then what is law and order at that point? So I think, at least personally, I've probably lost a friend every year to the drug problem. So it's very close to my heart. I mean, this year I've lost at least one, maybe two. So, yeah, very for the sheriff's department.
1 minute.
It was fast. And we're working on the senior center. I'm really excited about that, to get a good location, a safe location. And so I really appreciate the judge and my fellow JPs working on that. And just getting to appoint our treasurer and our coroner, getting to learn that process has been
30 seconds.
very interesting. But so yeah, I don't have much time, so I guess I'm gonna end with that. Thank y'all. Any questions or
5 minutes on Q&A.
shoot
Or not.
or not? Judge Mahoney.
Can I ask? Micah, what's the thing most about the position that you didn't expect?
Really hard decisions. You go in there and I'm just gonna vote Republican. I'm gonna vote with these my ideals, and sometimes it's not always so cut and dry. Sometimes you actually have to weigh out the good of the community and what effects things will have. I've still kept my ideals and my values, but some decisions are harder than others, and I guess I kind of expected there to be just like a list, and this is what I vote every time. It doesn't work that way. Thank you. Anyone else?
Come on, somebody else has got to have a question.
What are you gonna name your baby?
What's your thought?
I do. Thank you, Jim. No names picked out. I don't even know the gender yet. So. People keep saying that. Yes, thank you, Esther. Very excited about that, and I plan on raising my children here in Garland County. I'm 7 or 8 generations Garland County, and plan on having a 9th. Hopefully Republicans. So. Yes, ma'am.
You talked about the sheriff's department, so I was wondering if we're going to start the Citizens Police Academy again.
I'm not actually aware. I'm not sure. I would have to look into that. Anyone else? Yes, sir. I'm a welder and a fitter for RTS. It's Ryder Technical Solutions. We build lumber equipment, and kind of similar to Log Pro and Timber Automations. It's kind of a split off from that, but I'm really proud of that work. We produce a whole lot of equipment, about 1 shipment a week now. Very big flatbed truck. You know, last thing I unloaded was 62,000 pounds. Had to figure out how to get that with a 6,000 pound limit on with a Skytrack. So I was pretty proud of that. I made that work, but we made that work. I was the one in the Skytrack though, so it was a little it's fun actually. I live over there by Belvedere Golf Course. It's not a current golf course, but yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
What area of Garland County do you district?
It goes out towards Fountain Lake, Prospect, out in that direction, parts of Spring Street, McClendon, Westinghouse, out towards Magic Springs. It's a pretty decent sized district. Downtown, of course, Park Avenue. And so, yeah, all about halfway to Malvern, kind of stretches out from downtown to about halfway to Malvern Avenue over there by Magic Springs, Westinghouse. And Mill Creek, part of Mill Creek Road. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What committees do you serve on, and how do you get chosen to be on certain committees?
Well, I'm on buildings and buildings committee, and the judge appointed me to that committee, and I am vice chair of ordinance committee under Ray Owens, who's chair. And the judge appoints, and I don't know if we have any, we can say, hey, I like this committee or not. I'm sure we could give it a shot. But I didn't know what to ask for or what I even wanted to do, and he appointed me to those. I'm very
1 minute.
proud of the work we've done on those committees. Yes, ma'am.
When you're elected again, what are some of the things you'd like to work?
It's important to me to keep, as the judge said, the county rural area and not too much of a strong arm of government in that. One of the things we did was we decided not to
30 seconds.
try to make it to where people had to have had the ability to burn in their yards without having to go through the county to do so. Things like that. Just try to keep us from making laws that aren't necessary and continue to do the job of good government. I think that's it. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. We will now have his Democrat challenger, Mr. Bart Stafford.
Thank you very much. My name is Bart Stafford, and I'm running for JP and representing District 1. So I'm going to break a few speechifying rules this evening and go straight to why I think you're here. I think you want to know my priorities if elected and what specific initiatives that I would like to champion. So that's where I'm going to start. One of my priorities as JP will be environmental stewardship. We have a unique and beautiful environment, and we must proactively care for it. The Quorum Court Standing Committee overseeing environmental issues has only met 6 times in the last 22 months, and most of those were regarding buildings. There are pressing environmental issues in our county, and I'm concerned that they're getting short shrift. I want to investigate options to extend the current solar power offset program to include more of the county's power requirements and be a proactive partner with the city in resolving the sewer issues between Gulf Gorge and Lake Catherine. Another priority I would have is fiscal responsibility, which also ties into the previous statement. For example, the utility costs for this building were significantly reduced after the current solar power offset program was implemented. Sometimes it's better to spend capital dollars now and reduce operating costs in the future. I will champion the responsible use of your money. Another priority is public safety. I supported the recent increase in the number of sheriff's deputies, 911 operators, and investigators because I think the need is real. I also believe that combining the 911 response centers for Hot Springs and Garland County would offer public safety benefits that would outweigh the cost and training concerns. Hot Springs and Garland County intergovernmental bodies are inextricably linked in the provision of services to many people in the county. Current cooperation is good, and if elected, I'll be looking for opportunities to improve services by breaking through governmental silos when appropriate. I support our library and want to see it continue to be the beating heart of this county. I support the Senior Center Initiative and would like to see programs there to help reduce senior food insecurity and the deluge of misinformation and scams that come to us all on a daily basis. If I had to sum it up, I would say that my primary aspiration, both in life and politics, is to be a good and dependable neighbor, and my priorities are built on that foundation. My name is Bart Stafford, and I want to represent you on the Quorum Court for District 1. Appreciate the library for hosting this event, and thank you all for attending, both in person and on the live stream. Please visit my website, bartforjp.org, and I ask for your vote on November 5th. I'll now take your questions.
Question. So you're running as a
Democrat, are you saying that your other Democrat, JPs are not doing the job?
Not at all. I think they're doing a fine job. Yes.
You've got a lot of ideas, but what are you gonna get the money for? You know, the county has no debt right now, and you wanna run it like the city, which is got $1 gazillion worth of debt.
I do not have access to the financial information about the current debt load in the county. I couldn't speak to that part, but I would say that there are some initiatives that are the responsibility of the county to protect lives and property of the people in our county. So
what?
Well, for example, health services, I mean, it's just pretty
fire
obvious.
departments in the county.
Yeah, I know that. I'm still not exactly sure what your question or your intent
I
is.
was asking where the money was coming
Well, that's a good question, and I do not have the answer for that. These are initiatives that I would like to pursue and see if we can get some action on. Any other questions? Yes, Michelle.
So I know today you focused on your priorities and some initiatives and what you value. Can you tell us just a little bit about your background or why you think you are uniquely qualified for this position?
Yeah, I was an executive and a management consultant in the oil and gas business, and I've spent my entire career working in an environment which is kind of the mix of technology and engineering. So I think I have a very good understanding of both of those things, which I believe will be additive to the kind of decisions that need to be made by the quorum court. So I've had a long career. I'm now retired and want to focus on public service. Yes.
So you think environmental should be able to just take on people's property and tell them what they can and can't do?
I do think that there are some issues that are necessary to consider the public good.
You don't think that's trespassing?
No, ma'am, I didn't say that at all. There are rules about trespassing, and I'm not discussing any of that. What I'm saying is that there are rules and regulations for how people can operate in certain parts of the county. For example, you probably would not want your neighbor to dump a bunch of chemicals right next to your property lines. That is something that we need to prevent. So, and as a resident of the county, you probably don't want that either. So those are the kind of things I think that need to be paid attention to. Any other questions? Yes.
I want to say something to the gentleman over there. When they set a fire on our property, it is not in his district. I was really grateful that the police and the fire people were involved, or it would have burned down my house, killed children, killed pets, and everybody else. So money is not the bottom line. Sorry.
Well, okay. Let's take questions.
Addressing the other lady's question there, it's not trespassing when the gas company, when the cable company, they all have a right of way. And so you can't just say that there's never any instance where somebody can enter your property.
Yeah, of course.
There are many instances where they are legally bound to do it.
1 minute.
Yes.
Are you a member of or associated with the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, now known as Local Government Sustainability?
I am not. I was not aware of that organization, but thank you for bringing that up. Take a look. Any other questions? I'll be happy to give 33 seconds back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. Up next, we have District 3, and that is Justice of the Peace, Esther Dixon, representing the Democratic Party.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? My name is Esther Dixon. I'm District 3 Justice of the Peace. I'd like to first say thank you to the Garland County Library for providing this candidate forum and our moderators. Thank you. And all of you, the community, for being here to be more informed voters. So thank you for being here. For those that don't know me, I'm a native of Hot Springs. I have 25 years experience in public service. I have 6 years experience as the JP, which have served for 3 terms. And it's an honor serving Garland County. I love Garland County and I love what I do. District 3 is located across the street from the racetrack, starts there, and it goes west. And it goes towards Albert Pike and Airport Road, and it stops or ends short of the 70 and 270 bridges. Initially, why I ran for District 3 JP in 2018 is because, like I said, I love Garland County and I love serving. And I love the community. Safeguarding and protecting Garland County's public health and safety is important to me. I'm fully vested in serving the community and serving Garland County. My husband and I raised our son in District 3 ever since he was 2 years old. Right now, he's 27, married, and has his own family that he's starting. And I'm committed and dedicated to continuing my work in the community. Anyone that knows me knows that I give 150% in everything I do, and I am vested in the community and serving. I advocate for better health, safer communities, higher education, and economic opportunities, securing funding for the library, as well as building a new senior center. The committees I serve on currently right now is the Finance Committee, where I'm the Vice Chairwoman, the Human Resources Committee, Public Health, Welfare, and Safety Committee, as well as the Census Committee and the Litter Task Force Committee, and most here recently, the Senior Center Task Force Committee. In addition, I am super excited about being part of the task force for the Senior Center Task Force in order to establish a new facility for the seniors, so we can let them know that we value them and we want to make sure that they have a better quality of life. In addition to that, I also am the founder of Diamonds in the Rough Women's Transitional Ministry. We provide services to women, youth, and families so they can have a better quality of life, health, and well-being, and the founder of Difference Makers, where I bridge the gap between the resources in the community. Any questions? Yes.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. As the sitting JP, we some information about the food center you can share with us. Things we've heard times tonight.
Yes. Judge Mahoney has appointed a task force that's made up of about 7 of the JPs, and I'm part of that task force along with the other JPs that will be there, but the 7 JPs will be leading the charge. And I'm so excited and happy to say that there will not be a tax imposed for the building of the new structure. And right now we have set aside $500,000 to use in the building of that construction, as well as we're using some funds from the OMH funds. And I believe that's 3.5 million, is it? Okay. And I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to ask him that. But yes, I'm super excited, and we're just wanting to get started on that. We're in the planning stages. We do have a possible location that will be donated, possibly from CHI, but right now it's in the planning stages, and we're looking into building the senior center there. It's on Nash Street, which is adjacent to the CHI, and it's going to be centrally located. So we're just super excited to be planning that, and we're looking at the different senior centers throughout Arkansas to make sure that we have something that's unique and special for the community.
Esther, in regards to the senior center, will there be input from the citizens as well?
Absolutely. We have our meetings, and everyone's welcome to the open meetings. We meet the second Monday for full form court meetings. So the public is open to come and meet there, and whenever we have special task force meetings, that will be on our website. You can visit the website and give your feedback.
If memory serves me, this is many years ago, but when CHI was doing some kind of expansion and Owen wanted something, they were to pay for the senior center. So what happened to that proposal and why was it not fulfilled?
That was before my time. I can only speak on my stuff, my time that I'm serving now. And I know that right now, what's on our agenda and what our plans is to build a new structure. And we have this money allotted for that, and we're making plans for that, and we are welcoming all the community's input. And
Would Judge Mahoney know the answer to that question?
What is that?
repeat your question.
I'm not going to take any of her time, so I'll be glad to talk to you after it's over with, but I'm not going to take any candidates' time.
Thank you. Any other questions?
JP oversee Visit Hot Springs budget.
Visit Hot Springs is city.
Visit Hot Springs budget doesn't, you know.
Visit Hot Springs is the city, we're county, so what they have in the city is separate and apart from what we have and what our budget is.
So the JP budget is simply tax money?
No, it's not simply tax money, but you said Visit Hot Springs? Is that what you said, sir?
Yes.
That doesn't have anything to do with the county, as far as I know. No, doesn't.
Are you, sir, are you maybe talking about the Metro Task Force or specifically Visit Hot Springs?
Michelle?
So questions about the senior center. I know that we are a retirement resort town. Can you speak just a little bit more as to the importance of having a senior center and why the task force and why,
Yes.
and why you were appointed to it versus other JPs?
Well, the best thing about it is we're going to be able to provide hot meals to the community, to those seniors. Some of them are not able to cook for themselves, so we'll be able to provide those hot meals. And then the social activities. Social activities will keep their mind and their brain stimulated, and the interaction. A lot of them are home by themselves. So that human connection and that human interaction, and then the various programs and activities will keep them
30 seconds.
having a better quality of life. Yes, ma'am.
Speaking of the foods, I know I've heard that CHI is no longer going to be doing their Meals on Wheels. So can you tell me what the plans are? If you're talking about providing meals.
CHI St. Vincent's, that was the contract that they had. So that contract will discontinue or end in December. We are locating the senior center, or plan to locate the senior center, centrally located by CHI St. Vincent's, where the expressway is. So everyone will be able to access it easily. So right now, the Meals on Wheels, that was something that CHI was providing, that those seniors will be able to participate at the senior center that we're going to be constructing on Nash.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dixon. We will now have Republican challenger, Ms. Susan.
And I do want to thank y'all for hosting and y'all for attending, because that's what makes America what it is. I hope you forgive me, but 3 minutes is fast, so I'm going to read what I've put together and read it as fast as possible. I am Susan Gardner-Jones, and I'm running for WP3. Today's been a wonderful day. We started out this morning with the leadership prayer breakfast and then ending it with this, and I think that is a joy in America, to be free to do those things. I know some of you know me, but some of you I don't know. My family's roots are here in Garland County. They settled a piece of property out on Highway 128 back in 1800s, and we've been here ever since, and we still own a portion of the farm. During the times that we moved from Hot Springs, I've lived my whole life here, starting and ending. It was because of my dad's work or because I was married, and then we moved back as soon as we could do that. I taught kindergarten and first grade for 12 years. Education is priority in my world because it enables and frees people to be able to accomplish amazing and great things. And if you have that great foundation, then it follows you throughout. So that is one of the things that I love. I love literacy. I love comprehension. I love the fact that that enables us. I've been a business owner in Garland County for the last 15 years. We're still going. Have a small seasonal hobby farm out in the country. I serve on the board of Change Point Pregnancy and Family Counseling Services. I'm a charter member of the Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force of Garland County. I serve with the Unity Coalition of Garland County. And in our free time, my husband and I volunteer in other areas of various community services. I am a pastor's wife and I serve as the music leader in our church, which is also in District 3. I am thrilled to say that Doug and I have been married almost 49 years. I'm the mother of 2. I'm a very involved grandmother of 8. We just kept 5 of them for 2 weeks. That was fun. So you may wonder, why on earth are you running for justice and peace if you've got all that going on? And I'm going to give you some of the reasons that I would love to be a part of the JP. I'm running because I'm personally the personality type that needs to know why and how things work in order for me to understand if there are other options. I'm running because I want to know more about the info on how yours and mine, tax dollars are being spent. Because I think that's important to us. That's when we can figure out or decide if there is anything else that we can do. I'm running because I want to know more facts about the issues in the face of all the things that we're doing. The only way to do that is to get on the inside track. And I feel like running locally is the best place that I can do that. And so if I'm elected, I hope to empower our people to be able to offer more opinions, to offer more ideas, to offer more help with all the expertise that we have in Garland County. We shouldn't really need to go outside the county to get things done. Question? Boy, y'all don't want me off easy. Okay. Yes.
So you mentioned the need to, that you wanted to run because you want to know. I know a lot of people in this room attend the court meetings so they can know.
I do.
But they don't feel the need to run for JP to get those facts and to let their opinions be known. So can you tell me more about why and what?
Sure. I mean, I read a bumper sticker one time and it said that things are ruled by those who show up. And I feel like it's important to show up. We complain a lot about the fact that we can't change anything. We can't have an input on anything, that our opinions don't matter, that we can't make a difference. And I feel like being in the justice of the peace, that I can make a difference and I can gather up the voice of our community to find out, are we doing things in the direction our county wants? Because a lot of times our opinions, no matter where we live, are not priority. It's more priority of, can we get this done? How can we get this done? What do we need to get this done? And I would love to be able to hear the voice of our communities and to kind of put that together, find out what our expertise are, be able to incorporate and bring people in. And if you're not a part, then you can't do those things. You only have your 3 minutes on a night when you want to share what you think, and that's very limited. So I don't feel like that we can do the most if we're not participating. And so when I was asked by several people what I run, that was a question in my mind is, can I complain because anybody else doesn't run if I don't ever run? And so I decided to step up and to run.
And having talked to you in the past about different things, I know in your area of the your JP district, I know there's a lot of violence. And of course, I realize a lot of your situation is city. But how, being a JP, do you think that will affect what you're going to be able to get done in your area too?
And I don't know that being a JP will really add to that because we're already really involved with the Sheriff's Department. I'm part of the Human Trafficking Task Force. That's my number one. And for people to say that doesn't exist, yesterday I was getting ready to run some errands and I was getting ready to get in my car. And 2 young ladies came walking up to me and they said, can we talk to you for just a few minutes? And I said, sure. And they said, this car's been following us for the last 3 blocks. And they keep yelling at us and they keep talking to us. They keep trying to get us to get in the truck. And I said, absolutely. And so they were so brazen, the car pulled up into the parking lot. One of them got out of his car on a walker, got out on the driver's side, walked over to where we were standing. And I walked over and I said, can I help you? And he said, try this. And he handed me a water bottle with, I have no idea what, but I could smell his breath. And I said, no, thank you. And he said, oh, come on. And I said, you need to get in your car and leave. And so I went, got the girls, put them in my car, and I said, just sit here until, Doug had just had eye surgery, so I couldn't really bring him out to protect us. But we do have issues here that we need to be able to focus on. We work with the police department. We work with the fire department on different issues and matters. So we already have those connections. I just feel like that Justice of the Peace would also give that extra opportunity to put out there the things that our community needs to know. You have that ability to gather city hall meetings or town council meetings or whatever you want to call them. They're called different things in different states, to keep the facts out in front. And I think that's what will empower us to get rid of the crime that's here. The more we know, the more we understand, the more we learn, the more we can combat what's happening. And when people are afraid to commit a crime because they know neighborhoods that people are watching, there's less crime, or it's at least contained more in one area where you can have the police keep watching an eye on it.
So just a follow-up, from my understanding, the crime rate has actually been decreasing.
Not in human trafficking. I work with a group that supplies stuff for a safe house. Last year, we had 130 kids rescued from human trafficking. And then we had the big bust that we had with all the different ones that were. So in human trafficking, it's not. So that is why that's one of my, and I have grandchildren, and I want my grandchildren to know what to look for, what to watch for, what to be careful of, so that they can also help their friends.
10 seconds. Yeah, I just want to make a comment. Thank you for being involved in the community over the years. You didn't just come out because of the election.
Time's
You've been
up.
involved in the community for years.
Thank you. It just felt like this was one more thing that we could do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Up next, we have District 4, Justice of the Peace, Judy Young, representing the Republican Party.
Thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it so much, moderators, library, Adam, Paul, and your group, and your recording our court meetings and our committee meetings are so important. And I've had so many people say they watched those at home and could never get away from work or got home from work too late to get down there to see the meetings, and then they can access them anytime. And garlandcounty.org is where you can find the budgets, the different finance committee, public health, safety, welfare. I serve on public health, safety, welfare, buildings committee, ordinance committee, and IT. I'm chairman of the IT committee. And IT committee is a two-man committee. It's the only committee that consists of only two people. Larry Rainey and I now are on the IT committee. There's a term that's used in politics derogatorily, rubber stamp. And I studied that rubber stamp buckier to find out, the accusation comes, the Republicans are all rubber stamps, Democrats are all rubber stamps. Accusation. I have worked so hard not to be a rubber stamp. Darryl, Mahoney could tell you that we butted heads this two-year term, twice, probably over two issues, and we came out just working real well on both of those, respecting each other's perspectives, and came out with some great things. We've come out with an opportunity for Senior Citizen Center without raising taxes that will be funded fully with a loan from the hospital fund that is there to take out of and pay back. And so we won't raise millages, we won't raise taxes, and we're going to have our Senior Citizen Center. In the 8 years, just short of 8 years that I've been on the court, I've not had any more contact from voters than on the Senior Citizen Center. My phone rings every week, 3 times a week, and it has for a year, with people encouraging us to get it on, to get it done. I want to thank Darryl. He thought out of the box on that when we were kind of up against the wall on finding a place. We looked at 20 different places. probably, that were all in bad areas of town.
30 seconds.
Too much to rebuild. I'm very happy that we have our funding for 10 new officers at the Sheriff's Department, 4 new 911 dispatchers, and 2 court coordinators, of which there have been no court coordinators added to our courts since 2000. And the felony load of cases has tripled in that time. Thank you. Question?
Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys are putting heads on?
And I don't think we'll rebut our heads. Someone came up with a location for the senior citizen center that I was adamant was not a good location for our seniors to get out of cars and go into something that they're frequent, maybe even bingo at 7 p.m. in the dark in the winter. And I said, no, wrong location. And here we are with them having found a location now that's going to be in a wonderful part of town on the Chi-Vincent property. It's not 100%. It's getting there. It's getting close to 100%. That on Chi-Vincent property, we will have a state-of-the-art building for a senior citizen center that will serve this community for decades. And I'm thrilled. He's thrilled, and I'm glad we butted heads. Hope he's glad we butted heads.
I'll ask you a question. Is that permissible since he's my opponent?
Don't open some doors.
Well, there's been some other questions asked, and it goes back to a proposal the judge made on the ordinance having to do with illegal burning. He wanted to allow or amend it so that sheriff's deputies could write citations as well as his own environmental statement. And you voted against that.
I saw duplications in state laws that would regulate the things that were being added onto would have been part of an ordinance that were already prohibited. And I saw some natural organic materials that were included that would cause people not to be able to burn their sister's tree that fell in their yard. If he happened to need to bring it to his yard where it's a safer place to burn it, he could not have transport that. There were some positives in what wanted to be done, and there were some negatives that imposed government imposition to property owners that I could not change.
I would just like to applaud the JPs and the judge for finding alternative finances for increasing the 10 number of the sheriff's officers, because I have a daughter that's a lieutenant out there. I know how dangerous it is to be a sheriff's deputy. Also for the court system and the 2 people are the dispatch, because I know y'all took a lot of slack on that from the community trying to find that money. So I do appreciate y'all for that.
And to my point of not being a rubber stamp, that's not what I typically do. My party and convictions would vote for, but it's law enforcement. We're in a dire situation. Yes.
Can you talk about your business experience?
36 years. I've owned a resort on Hamilton, and I've hosted everyone from celebrities, Hollywood celebrities, I won't go into naming them, to jockeys, horse owners, trainers, tourists from all over the world. And so I changed the formula for my business 3 years ago. I'm 72 years old, to where I didn't do short-term business, and now I do all a monthly business, and I still have that same group of people, tourists that are coming to stay for a month, retirees coming to stay for a month, horse trainers and jockeys and owners coming to stay for a great speed. So I've been developing and paying out payrolls, and I've paid lots of city and state and county taxes and federal taxes in those years. I am a taxpayer collector.
You've got 50
49 seconds or something in your 3-minute speech you didn't get to cover that you'd like to finish now?
Don't believe we can do that. Emily?
That's a question. It's a
question.
Yeah, okay, a question that I did not cover was, it's been wonderful working with Judge Mahoney and Rick Davis before Judge Mahoney.
30
And
seconds.
I love being able to work with him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. We will now have his Democrat challenger, Mr. Larry Williams.
I just want to tell you that I share one thing in common with Jimmy. We're both the same age, 72. And I want to thank the library for hosting this forum to allow the public to hear from our candidates and to ask them questions. Experience matters, and I have 32 years of experience in county government and working with the form court. I was county judge for 16 years. County judge is the presiding officer of the court. He does not have a vote, but he does have power to veto, and that may be overridden by a 3/5 vote of the form court. I am the longest serving county judge, unless Darryl catches me in the next 10 years. I don't know how many years you've served, but anyway, and then for 15 years, I was administrative assistant to 2 county judges. And one of my jobs was to serve as staff aide to the form court. And so I did their agendas, their minutes, their research, and drafted ordinances and resolutions. And I dare say that in the Garland County Code of Ordinances, that over half of those ordinances were written by me. And then finally, I served on the form court as an appointee. I was appointed by former Governor Frank White in 1981 to fill a vacancy. There were 2 years where I didn't work in the judge's office. And, but as an appointee, I was ineligible to succeed myself. And conservatively, I estimate that I have attended 384 form court meetings. And so I know what goes on there. A few years ago, wanting to continue my public service, I ran for the Hot Springs Board of Directors from District 4. I worked on things such as downtown revitalization, a long-term water supply, improved public safety, and city-county cooperation. But the most important thing to me as a representative was that I would listen to my constituents and try to help them with their problems. And if elected, that's what I'll do. Thank you. I'll take a question for the gentleman on the second row.
What has changed in the court in the last 40 years? You were in it.
What now?
What has changed over the last 40 years in the court?
Well, county government's gotten more complicated. I found an article that I wrote back in 1988 about the duties of the quorum court that appeared in the Gazette. And I wrote about the budget. And the budget at that time was $7 million. Judge Mahoney, what is it today? Like $110 million? Yeah. So county government has grown both in size and complexity. It does a whole lot more than when I first started out in county government, and all the county offices were there in the courthouse. Yes, sir. Another question.
Follow up. Is your recommendation is for our county to continue to grow our government, or to shrink it, or stay as?
I don't know that you can shrink it. You can perhaps slow the growth. Somebody asked me a question about what the OMH cell phone is.
What is it?
All right, the OMH cell. The this is where institutional memory comes in. Some of you may remember the old Ouachita Hospital, and it was a county-owned facility. And during the early 80s, the then county judge, Earl Wells, decided to sell it because, well, not necessarily so much about physical limitations of it, but because, well, it had been outgrown its size. But so anyway, the hospital sold, and when it sold, after everything was sold out, there was about $7 million left from the sale of that hospital. And the then county judge, Bud Williams, at that time, interest rates were 9.65%, tied that up in a 20-year escrow fund. Voters approved the jail. And so that money made the semi-annual bond payment on the old jail, which is now obsolete, and left about $225,000 a year to go into the general fund. And so Judge Mahoney, to his credit, is going to dip into that reserve, and then with the intent of paying it back. So I always like to say that the Ouachita Sale Fund is the gift that keeps on giving. Any other questions? Michelle?
You have a wealth of experience and knowledge from the past. What do you see going forward? What can we look forward to with Garland County?
Well, it's kind of been touched on already, is the fact that the growth out in the county, there's a lot of areas in the county that are very urbanized, but there's a lot of areas in the county that are very rural, and trying to strike that balance. And so I see that as kind of a ongoing tension, so to speak, between those that want more regulation and those that don't. City-county cooperation has improved under the current administration. And so were you waving your hand back there? Or okay. But it's just the challenge, we have a lot of commercial development going on in our community. We continue to grow in population. And those things just require more money to meet those needs. I just said, yes, sir.
You've got a lot of experience in politics, most of it volunteer, that type thing, with the exception of Form 4 where you paid. What was your career path? Where's your background in your career?
I was a journalism major, and I worked for doing newspaper work. I actually moonlighted at the Sentinel Record. I worked for a little ad agency called Pittman and Associates. When Magic Springs was announced, I wrote the press announcement announcing that Magic Springs would be announced. So I did advertising, public relations, marketing. My first real job, I was director of public information at Henderson State University. So, and I also, growing up, worked construction for my dad, who was a bricklayer, and that's the hardest work I ever did. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Up next, we have District 5, Ralf Bailes, representing the Republican Party.
Good evening. I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I know it's times like this when you leave your family at home. It's the best place to be.
Could you speak up, please?
You want me to repeat what I said?
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody showing up tonight for this forum. I appreciate the moderators. I know it takes y'all away from y'all's family, which is important in life for everybody. Fortunately, I do have my wife here, so I'm pretty safe with her. I was born and raised in Hill, Arkansas in 1959, 65 years old. Worked for the same company for 43 years now this month. And Started out in Helena and worked there for Marty Coco. You know, some people know Marty Coco. He has the Anheuser-Busch facility out here on Bypass. And then when the company out of Florida bought us out, they kept me on, and I started out as vice president of sales there. Today I'm vice president of operations. It's you know, we housed the Salvation Army out there. The Salvation Army didn't have a place to go. They did have a place at the mall. I think they were spending about $10,000 just to rent it for the short time they had it. They talked to me, and because we had some connections with them, and that happened in our place during that time, starting the 1st of November all the way through Christmas, where they hand out all the goodies for all the kids. There's some good things that go on during that program. There's some things that don't really make you, you know, it's a tearjerker. If ever no one's been out there, when they do come, just on that process. I want to keep the funding for the library. I think that's the greatest thing. You know, when I was a kid, that's mom took us because we were very poor. I mean, you know, I look back at things that I didn't have that I did now. I think it's good where people can go to the library, bring their kids and read books. Now I know that they do, I guess, cooking supplies, things like that. You know, I have one kid, I don't know if it helps. I got into politics just because, you know, I think I'm going to retire in a couple of years. I don't know if that's going to happen. I've been out there that long, I don't know what else I did. I think I can have 10 seconds. Questions?
I just have a question, and I appreciate you guys hosting Salvation Army. It's a wonderful thing to do. Captain Jason told me the other day there's a motto for this year. The motto you came up with.
There's no, I didn't.
Motto is this blood's for you.
No, I did not. I did meet him at the same time. We didn't have to meet and greet, and he has yet to contact me since that day. But, you know, I know that usually it's the secretary that's over there that usually gets with me, and then they'll say, hey, we're coming out. We'll let them in the back door. They have the free reign of that part of the building. And then when it's over with, they clean everything up. We're good to go until next year. So hopefully, as long as I'm there working and further in, we will have that room for them. And, you know, I'm sad to say that building was built to house product in, and there was territory that people thought they'd get and never got. And it kind of is just a building that we put anything in. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
What area does District 5 cover, and why, what is your purpose? What is your mindset of why you want to be the JP for here in Garland County or for District 5?
Well, for one, I think I want to help the people. I mean, I get up some days and I wonder why, for the simple fact that I have a plan I want to get to that always works out at the end. But it's the phone call that you get of, why did this truck run over the pole in front of my business? Who's going to pay for it? You know, it's the, why is my salesman doing this? You know, it's the questions that I get. I have to find a solution somewhere. It might take a day or two at times, but I feel like I can help the people of my district. And it goes from Travesta down Central, then it right past the little bar section of it, runs down Hooten Ferry to Mall Road, cuts back across, comes up Central to, I guess, Yorkshire. Yeah, Yorkshire. Then we go back over and we come out to Bypass, go down to Bypass, cut over, and go all. It's a lot of rural area. So we've been riding it just to kind of see where the streets are. You know, putting signs. Anybody else? give my time to somebody else. Thank y'all. Time.
Meredith Finn, representing the Democratic Party, is not able to make it tonight, so we are going to move on to District 6. Justice of the Peace, Ray Owen Jr., representing the Democratic Party.
Thank you all for taking your time to be with us. Got to keep us lined up, moving on. I'm kind of an unusual person to be a court.
Ray, can you use the mic? Can't hear you.
That better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I have a degree in chemical engineering. I have other engineering degrees. All of those things have helped me in working in the industry and for government entities for a number of years. We don't have folks like me on the court of courts. We've got good folks, but not necessarily with those kind of specialties. And before I put this talk together tonight, I consulted my boss, Mrs. Owen over here. That's the reason why I'm wearing a red hat. She said, "You're wearing a red hat, but I'm wearing a red hat." My first degree is in chemical engineering. You want to take a job and work hard for a while, try chemical engineering. After I got my degree at college, and by the way, I was up there in 1962 and 64. What happened in that time? Well, we went undefeated. Anybody remember that?
1 minute.
One more minute or one? Oh, goodness. They're going to want me to quit telling stories. But I worked for a number of companies as well. United States Public Health Service. Spent 2 years traveling around with them doing environmental programs. Then came back to Arkansas to head up the environmental program for Alcoa.
30 seconds.
We had all sorts of things going there. And they're the kind of problems that you may have in your business nearby you. In my case, that was the business we were handling the whole time. And it has helped me.
10 seconds.
Help working with the members of the quorum court. I would venture to say that there's probably nobody else in the quorum court that has free and chemical engineering.
Time's up.
We'll talk a little bit longer or sit down. Questions? Questions, go ahead. Yeah.
So Mr. Owen, I thought you were a lawyer.
Well, I'm a lawyer.
Well, how does chemical engineering and the law, how has that helped you to perform on the quorum court?
That helped a lot on the quorum court because I know about law. Went to law school for 3 years and was on the board over there and did that. But there's a lot of difference between studying law and studying chemical engineering. Sometimes if you can put them together, you can do things with it. Yes.
Can you give us a specific instance where your chemical engineering background or your law background has really aided in the quorum court decision making?
can't think of a single instance by itself right now, but I do know that we've had conversations. I've been on the quorum court since 95, 97, and we've dealt with a lot of different technical problems during that time. Is that right, Judge?
Yes.
In fact, I specifically talked to the judge about some of those problems, and we dealt with them. Oh, yeah. We've dealt with a lot of water and sewer systems for our county. And I've worked with them too. Yes.
Well, I personally want to thank you for your work with Senator Clark and your input there. I think that was one of the stepping stones that blocked water and what's going on now to my springs. I personally thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes.
I may have missed it, but could you tell me what committees that you serve on?
Let's see.
In the past or
Currently. Yes, I'm sure you served on a lot of them.
Who's on a committee with me? What are we doing?
Chair. I'm vice chair of ordinance, your chair.
And we deal with all those problems that come up and get them done.
Sure.
And you've got hands-on on a lot of that stuff in ordinance. I've got the education behind some of that as well. Yes.
I'm curious about other community involvement. It sounds like you've had quite a career, and you talked about boss lady over here. What other community involvement have you been involved
Well, I've been president of the board of the Chamber, the Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce. And when I was working with the Chamber of Commerce, there was a problem we had. Any of you here school teachers? Hold your hand up if you're a school teacher. And you got kids in school. Sometimes you're teaching over here and your kids are over here. And in days in the past, what would happen would be is that they would say, okay, each school district set its own session, or when they could, when school was going to be in session and not in session. And so if you were teaching, my wife here, Red Hat, was teaching at Lakeside, and our kids were at Jones School. And the school district times were different as far as where you could take off for spring break. I called
30 seconds.
The meeting with the school board from each of the school districts. And I explained to them, you're putting these kids going to a different
10 seconds.
Scheduling for the spring break. And if youth school boards can get together and agree to have a consistent spring break.
Thank you.
Every year. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Up next, we have Ben Hooten, representing the Republican Party, and he is challenging for District 6.
Good evening. I want to thank y'all for coming out. I agree for having us here. A lot of you do know me, but some of you don't. So I was going to kind of give a little bit of what I expect to cooperate with the former court and the state legislators
I'm married to Charlene. We have a blended family. We have 4 kids and 7 grandkids. All of them live here in Garland County, except for my daughter. She's a nurse and she lives in Sherwood. Kind of, it's a different background probably than anybody in here. I actually never graduated high school. I quit when I was 17 years old and went into the Army during the Vietnam. Volunteered for Vietnam, got in orders, but they revoked. Got out, drove trucks for a while, turned into an auto mechanic. But then I used the GI Bill to go, I did get GED, by the way. Because I did go to UA. Worked full time, raised a family, went to school whenever I could. Ended up graduating cum-laude, had a double major, criminal justice and political science. I took it in criminal justice. I stayed out, continued to do that. Then I got on with the post office. I was an auto mechanic with the post office. Once I got there, I had steady hours. And I always wanted to go to Boston. So my grades and LCT test were good enough that I got into ULR, worked full time, and went to law school at night. Graduated in 01, 02, I moved here, and I've been an attorney in Hot Springs since 02, except in 03, I got activated because I went back in service with special operations, not Green Beret or anything like that. I'm not claiming that, but special ops here, 431st Civil Affairs Division. We were attached to 101st Area. Well, when they dropped the bomb, tried to kill Hutzel, I was already at Fort Bragg because they put me on active duty orders, and we were sitting to wait for our equipment to get there. We jumped over the barn, the 101st Airborne Division, and drove the whole length of Iraq until we ended up in Mosul. Got back out there, and like I said, I've been here ever since. Kind of unusual because Ray Owen's an attorney, and I'm an attorney. You're not going to get rid of an attorney either way you go. You're fine with an attorney. Okay, questions, please. Yes, sir.
What is your specialty in the law field? You criminal attorney, or you constitutional attorney, or what?
No, what I do now, because I've kind of scaled back, and that's one of the reasons I'm running, because I got more time now. Really about the only 2 things I do now is VA. I'm a veteran. I help veterans get the benefits that they deserve and earn. Got a lot of that. The other thing I do is federal criminal defense. I basically don't do a lot of state because they usually get a public defender or whatever. They don't have money for me, so. But that's it. Basically, federal criminal defense is what I do. Other questions? Yes.
Is there something that you see going on in the local county government that is why you chose to run at this time?
You know, my platform, which you can get that at Ben Hooten for JP, it basically follows the Republican platform. Not entirely, but pretty close. I have a couple of concerns that I want to address. One of them is I think we need, I'm not saying we need, but I want to be able to work with the foreign court, with Judge Mahoney and the other foreign court members and our state legislators on business development. Now, what dovetails into that is the poverty rate, which is not, poverty rate in Hot Springs is very high. It is, and by the way, you can check these out because it's on Garland County website. It was through the census, so it's verifiable and reliable information. 20% all kids 18 and under in Garland County live in poverty. That's a concern. There has got to be, or I think, one of the reasons I'm afraid, because I want to be able to work with other members of this county and with the state legislature and anybody else to see if we can address that. Not surprisingly, the number one, well, the group that has the most poverty is women and households 24 to 39. It's not surprising on that. So, just in addition to that, how do we address that? I'm against higher taxes. So, how are we going to do that? One of the things that you can do, which works in various other fields, is you get with faith-based organizations. That's one of the things you do. Our people that are addicted, we don't really have an answer to that if it wasn't for the faith-based organizations. Anyway, and then that ties into taxes, and I can address that as well. Yes, ma'am, I'll invite you. You've been wanting to ask your questions. Go ahead.
Thank you. You just mentioned taxes. It makes me wonder, what was your position or is your position with the issue that was before us regarding funding the library, or if we call it defunding the library? What is your tax view about Garland County?
Okay. My position on that was, and that goes back, I think that people have a right to petition. That goes back to your First Amendment. So I think they have a right to do it. Do I think people have a right to vote on that? Absolutely. Now,
1 minute.
okay. Where I stand on that is that I think that's a question that the people should answer. Much as I do on taxes. I don't want to increase taxes. I think that's something that the people should vote on. Let me tell you, Arkansas is the third highest in the nation on sales tax at 9.75. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. But I'm not going to go into that. They're too high. You know, I don't agree with raising taxes.
How about the library? Because this community is so pro-library, and I know there were some issues about you, so the forum board had to address this.
10 seconds.
Can you tell me where you stand personally on that?
Where I stand on the library?
Time's up.
Time's up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hooten. Up next, we have District 7, Justice of the Peace, Dayton Myers, representing the Republican Party.
Good evening, everybody. This is a little low of a microphone, so I might have to lean down a little bit. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, before I get into my speech, I'd like for us all to take a moment of silence for the situation that's ongoing in the Middle East. It's escalated very greatly in the past 24 hours, the last 48 hours. From what I've heard, it's going to increase anymore. So please just pause with me for a moment for silence for all sides in the Middle East. Thank you. Thank you to our moderators again. That may be the umpteenth time that you've heard it tonight, but thank you, and thank you, Paul, for what better source to prove that our library is needed and necessary than this event right here. I mean, here we are utilizing our public library. If it was to be defunded, you know, they wouldn't be able to be open at 7:30 at night. And you know, I'm a Republican. The Republican Party meets here now on first Thursday. So, you know, everybody's getting such a fair use out of this wonderful building. I don't think that anybody should support defunding it without the tax that supports it, without having a plan to replace that funding. But I want to talk about a little bit about my time between the time I got elected and the time I got on the quorum court. My main priority in office has always been and always will be public safety. And in between the time I got elected in the runoff in the summer of June, June 2022, I was deployed that fall to FEMA, to Florida for Hurricane Ian. I served as a disaster inspector down there, meeting with people on a day-to-day basis. I was down there for about 2 months. I actually missed the general election here because I couldn't vote in it because I was down there helping the hurricane victims in Florida. And what I learned from that experience is FEMA is disastrously unprepared, but luckily we've got a wonderful, our county judge has a wonderful Department of Emergency Management, and I witnessed that firsthand when the tornado on May 8th hit the middle of my district, hit Long Island Drive. Oh, they came with the fire department, they were out there, so I showed up out there about 7:30 in the morning and helped direct traffic with them, because that's what public leaders are for. They're out there, they're supposed to be out there getting in the community and getting to make an impact. I've also, we talked about the Senior Citizen Center. Judge Mahoney, right before I had to step out from office, made me the chairman of that committee, and all the JPs that were appointed that committee, he and I worked together to find those names. And Judge Mahoney and I have worked on a lot together, and I think we've got a lot more to work on better come January of next year. Thank you, Judge, for your leadership, and I'm sure I'm going to get some questions here. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
First question is, you didn't ask for time for all the people in our own country that have been absolutely devastated by the hurricane. We think the priority should be our those 6 states. Just want to mention that to you. Can you tell us how your personal cases were adjudicated? Because I know you were found wanting with the false driver's licenses. Could you address that?
Absolutely. So I entered into a plea agreement that was specifically put out by the prosecutor that basically gave me 2 options. He gave me the option of I take the plea agreement that I took, or they were going to seek jail time if I went to trial the following Monday, same day that I entered into the plea deal, that afternoon. And I thought it would be better to put this entire situation behind myself and behind the county and take the plea deal, be out of office for a few months, come back in January and start serving the people of the county. I'm continuing to do so. I've been in constant communication with Judge Mahoney about the Senior Citizen Center and about various other issues in the time that I've been off the quorum court since September the 13th. So it was adjudicated in a manner that allowed me to continue to serve in office, take a little 3.5-month vacation as I view it, and run again. And obviously, I was not removed from the ballot, and I did plead guilty. I won't hide it, from a charge of minor in possession and a criminal trespassing charge from Owen. Tim.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for your involvement in the community, with the baby box at the fire department. And I remember you as a young kid going around the church and raising money for Chain Point. And I appreciate that your involvement in the community. And on the other issue, I just want to say that, people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. So I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Tim. I founded the county's 9/11 First Responders Breakfast at the age of 14, which goes to show you that I've been a supporter of our public safety going back till the time I was 14 in 2017. So besides that, the baby box, I was proud to spearhead that, and we had some great community leaders that came together. I worked with, that was again, not while I was JP, that was when I was JP elect. And I worked with the city of Hot Springs, the city manager, the fire chief, Ed Davis, and we got that project put in, and we haven't saved a life there yet, but we got that resource there for a woman or man, whoever's got a baby in their possession that they need to surrender anonymously. We do have that tool there. So thank you for bringing that up. Michelle.
I'm a little confused. So when you pled guilty, you had to resign from the quorum court, but you just said you're still on the quorum court. So I'm just confused.
I may have misspoke if I said that. I'm not on the quorum court right now. I am still actively representing the people of my district in a non-official role. I communicate with the county judge and my fellow JPs. I can talk to them now that I'm not sitting JP, and I'm continuing to do whatever is best that I see fit for my constituents. I'm not on right now. Go ahead. Yeah, okay.
Yes, can you tell us what two committees you've served on the past 2 years? And if you want to return to those committees, or is there another committee you'd like to start on in January?
Well, one thing that Micah talked about earlier is can you negotiate with the county judge? And sure enough, the county judge was going to put me on some committees. I didn't know which one they were, but I specifically requested in January of last year to be put on the Public Health, Safety, and Welfare Committee because of its role in law enforcement and fire departments and such. And Judge Mahoney filled that request to put me on that committee. So I was on that committee as a member. I'm on the ordinance committee chaired by Justice Owen. And I'm also on the environmental services and public works and buildings committee. Besides the senior citizenship committee that Justice Young has taken over. He was leading the charge long before me. Judge Mahoney brought me in because of my real estate background. And I still plan on helping that however I can. I am Catholic after all, so it's a Catholic hospital. Anybody else? Daniel.
Yes, can you speak to the issue of the incorporation of Diamond Head?
You know, I think that's going to be a really good thing. My district goes all the way out to the new city of Diamond Head. It's a city. It'll become a city officially after the November elections. And I think that's going to be great out there. They've got a developer that's really done some nasty things out there in that community. And the city's going to allow them to clean that up. And my district goes clear from Diamond Head, 290, all the way Long Island, Lookout Point, 7 South, Amity Road, all the way to where Amity and Southmore meet. And thank you all very much for listening.
Up next, we have challenger Robert Louton representing the Libertarian.
Thank you. My name is Robert Louton. I'm running for Justice of the Peace in District 7. I never expected to say those words because politics never really crossed my mind. I had faith that our officials would do the work of the people. But lately, I don't feel like that's been happening. What would happen to me or you if we weren't doing the job we were hired to do? We'd be replaced. That's what I intend to do, is replace Dayton Myers as Justice of the Peace. About 38 years ago, I married my wife. We started our family about 3 years later. We taught our kids, not everyone has the same perspective or beliefs, but that's okay as long as you have mutual respect and the willingness to work together for the good of the community. I went to work for Allen Tillery 40 years ago. I've just done just about every job in that dealership. Currently, I am the fixed operations director. I'm over parts, service, and body shop. I manage 65 people, and I'm here to do the business of the county. That's what I want to do. I want us to work together as a quorum court for the community. The type of work I do, I deal with all different kinds of folks. I'm kind of like the lawyer for the customer whenever you're dealing with the manufacturer. And with all of that, that's the kind of business I do. And, you know, there's many different perspectives and beliefs in this county. And working together to find solutions for them is one of my favorite things. The people of Garland County are the same. We all want a safe community that's thriving economically. Having a circus on the quorum court does nothing to move this county forward. How much taxpayer time and money were wasted with some of the latest shenanigans that's went on. I love Hot Springs. I love Garland County. I'm just a normal working man who wants to make Garland County a better place for my children and grandchildren. My children all live in District 7. They have 41 acres down off of Sundown Mountain Road. They built brand new homes down there, and that's pretty much a little bit about me. And do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've seen your Facebook. Just wondering, why would we trust you over your home?
Well, I've done a little background on it, and basically, my background background that I've looked at in the Democrat Gazette and everything else, the issue with trust is where this lies. How do you trust someone that started doing what was being done with the ID and the fraudulent ID? How do you trust someone that's got a fraudulent ID and drinking underage, and then and it's, from what I understand, it's been going on since 2020. How many times has that been put a business in this town in jeopardy? Because when you do this, when you drink underage, you got to think of the ramifications of that. And my opponent started this before he was ever elected. You would have thought that making the decision to do that would he would stop doing that. Okay, but he continues. And then the businesses, when you go into a business underage and you drink, you know, number one, you're putting the Alcohol Beverage Control Board onto that business. And then again, on top of that, you have, if something happens, there's going to be an investigation. They're going to find out where it came from. Then after that, God forbid anybody got hurt in that situation. Then whenever it comes down to a lawsuit ensues. And the lawsuit ensues, and then after that, the person with the deepest pockets is going to get sued. And that's the business owner that has that business. So now we've put a business in jeopardy. We've put possibility of someone may end up hurt. And because from what I understand, if you're drinking under the age of 21, and if you're in a vehicle, even, I'm not saying he was in a vehicle driving, but even if that situation occurred, it could cause some damaging effects to a lot of people.
I appreciate your high morals, but you're running as a libertarian, which allows for decriminalizing dangerous drugs, decriminalizing sex trafficking, open immigration, and defunding police.
Okay. One thing I learned when I went to the Libertarian Convention, they had a little test that they had there. How much of a libertarian are you? I came in at about 60%. Now, I took the test without reading the book, like a lot of people took and they were 99%, okay? Every one of those things that you're talking about is those things that I don't agree with.
Why are you running as a libertarian?
Why am I running as a libertarian? Because I saw what's been going on I've saw what's been going on with my opponent on the quorum court. I saw what he's been doing as far as I'm going to resign, and I'm going to stay in office. I'm going to resign, and at that point, there's the charges that have been entailed and all that, and the way I've watched him treat other people on the quorum court.
But you're affiliated with an organization that supports sex trafficking and illegal drugs.
No, it's not.
Yes, sure.
No.
Yeah.
So during this past session, there's been a lot of activity in the quorum court. Usually the quorum court is, a little boring. There's not much excitement. But we've had a lot of people needing to come and express their opinions because sort of JPs were doing things outside the purview of the quorum court. How do you feel about the actual role of the JP?
Okay. I think the role of the JP is to handle the business of the county. Okay. The things outside the purview of the quorum court that do not affect our lives, we need to stay away from that. We need to.
Mr. Louton. Up next, we have District 8, Alan Floyd representing the Republican Party.
Good evening, I'm Alan Floyd. I'm running for JP District 8. I'm running to be your advocate. And I have a plethora of experience being an advocate. I became a nurse in 2005, where I started out in the cardiac cath lab. Did that for 2 years, helping assist the doctors with putting in stents, doing pacemakers. I did some travel nursing, so I got to see South Dakota, loved the cold winter up there. In California, and I didn't fit in too well. And so I ended up coming back here to Arkansas, and I became a nurse at Arkansas Children's Hospital. And this is where I found my love. I got to work over this whole hospital, and I learned how to be an advocate to my patients who were babies, to my parents who were adults. Now, some of my parents, they might be about 18 years old, or even younger sometimes. And so those are my favorite ones because I'm like, they're the ones that need the most help. And so I was able to learn while working at the hospital. And now I work at Children's Hospital, I work the whole hospital. I ended up on the resource team, which is kind of like the special units team. We would go where people, whether it's the ER, the NICU, the PICU, general surge, the burn unit, which were mostly adults, thank God. And so I learned my place there. Now, some of my strengths is I'm a good listener. And I've been married, successfully married for 15 years. I think that gives a little bit of credit for listening. And I would say that at the last candidate forum, I listened to the Democrats. They expressed a lot of concern about the hunger and welfare of our community. And so that kind of sparked a little spark. And so I went out and contacted over 150 churches and organizations that provide food for Garland County.
1 minute.
And I went out and I found 50, list of churches and names, organizations. I compiled that list and gave it to Judge Mahoney, and now it's on the Garland County website. Because us two Republicans, we do care about the welfare of hunger and feeding our community. I will say that my wife and I, we have 2 children. They're at home right now, probably getting ready for bed. And in having children, you learn how to be selfless. And I figured that it's a skill that you learn best with being a parent. Before that, I was selfish. I'll admit it. Since then, I've not been. And I want to be your advocate for this community. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for what you said. I am concerned. Everybody talks about the poverty factor here, but I don't really see anything being done about it. We have some of the wealthiest families in the nation living here, and we cannot solve our poverty problem. Something seriously wrong. In this, I know the statistics because I worked on this a long time. There are so many children hungry, go hungry every day. We are one of the food deserts in the nation, Arkansas food desert. How do you propose to fix those kinds of situations? One of the biggest problems is one man mentioned it before was single households headed by women. What are we doing to make the men who father those children responsible for the expenses of those children? Now, in South Carolina, they have a program. Paycheck if you don't pay for your children. What are we doing towards that?
Well, I think your question is more for a state representative at Marsalis Law. But for the poverty question, there's 3 key factors for to get out of poverty or to stay out of poverty: get an education, a high school degree, get married, have children. A lot of the time, yes, it is. Yeah. A lot of the time, single parents, you can say that too. Women that had the house with women, right?
Yeah, because they've been abandoned.
Well, right. You're freaking first hope that the husband and to get married or to have children in wedlock. That's one of the key factors.
We can also fix it. I've said this before by having all the young men have vasectomies and children with babies.
When you're elected, what committees would you in particular like to serve in?
public welfare and safety would be a good one. And then the rest will be up to Judge Mahoney there. Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying because I'm a single parent, I can't be my kid?
I'm just saying that with the statistics, that if you graduate with a high school education and you get married and you have children in wedlock, those are 3 things that will increase your chances of staying out.
You can't assume that.
So, the question I asked earlier, there were some things that really brought a lot of attention to the forum court, like brought press to the forum court. What is your feeling about things that don't really fall under the purview of the forum court, like pro-life, pro-choice, like things that belong somewhere else? Like, where would you fall if you were on the forum court?
I'm pro-life backer. I'm 100% pro-life, and I would write a resolution to make Garland County pro-life county. Yes, ma'am. What does that have to do with
If you're pro-life, I'd like to know how many pregnant women are living in your home and how many of their children you're going to raise.
Can you repeat that first part?
How many pregnant women are living in your home and how many of their children are you going to raise? I think really what you mean is you're pro-birth. Pro-life means you're going to actually take care of them while they're pregnant and raise their children.
Well, I'm saying I'm 0 people in my house pregnant. And actually, we have adopted our daughter, if you're talking about adoption. Anybody else? Oh, yes, sir.
Are you suggesting that people who don't have children are selfish?
1 minute.
No, I'm saying that I learned to be selfless after I had children. That's the best way for me to learn. Yes, sir.
Do you have anything to do with any of these things we talked about on the forum court?
Probably not, except for maybe the pro-life resolution.
So, you know, we don't have a solution for something that you're not going to be able
Correct. Yes, sir. 30 seconds.
You know, about the time that you use your skills to help save a life on those contractors up and save a fellow's life.
So I was working at, I spent my time working helping Lakeside nursing staff with their nursing needs. I was in a special Olympics field trip. We're coming back from Jacksonville. Someone had a tragic wreck. And I took the bus and helped, tie her to get along with 2 other people. And we helped save the guy's life at the front. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Floyd. Up next, we have Stacey Herron representing the Democratic Party.
Hey y'all, I'm Stacey Herron. I'm running for Justice of the Peace in District 8. Thank you to the Garland County Library for hosting and live streaming this candidate forum. We're so fortunate to have a community-based library. Y'all, District 8 is the jewel of Southwest Garland County. We're a diverse district with packed suburban neighborhoods, deeply rural farmlands, thriving small businesses, and home to recently voted Reader's Choice Best School District, Lake Hamilton. My history with District 8 goes way back to the 70s. I attended Lake Hamilton School. I spent my summers fishing and water skiing on Lake Hamilton. I learned to drive on the back roads of Amity and Sunshine. And I'm running in this election because I love Garland County. Some of my greatest memories were made in District 8, and now I want to give back to my community. Protecting the library, addressing food insecurity, and securing high-speed fiber optic broadband for my district are just a few of the issues that I want to help address on our forum court. Our library provides an incredibly important community service. It's a necessary resource, and I will always champion the Garland County Library. Our library provides equitable access to information, books, and programs, regardless of your ability to afford the service, and it helps level the playing field for all the Garland County residents. 25% of Garland County children go to bed hungry every night. That's 1 in 4 kids. Our state code is very clear about the duties and tools that can be used by the quorum court to affect positive change. I believe by forming interlocal agreements to collaborate with city services, other counties, nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and providing information about assistance programs, we can help provide access to nutritious and affordable food that nourishes both the body and the spirit. And I want to keep the efforts going to deliver high-speed fiber optic broadband internet access to all the residents of Dixon, especially our students that depend on this to participate at their highest level. This is a necessary tool to keep District 8 moving forward. I'm running in this election because I believe in prioritizing people.
I love your idea for broadband. I think our Chamber of Commerce is working on that. That's fantastic. But the thing about Jason Brazil, do you not think that there's a shred of potential that he just endorsed you because he's a sore loser? Got beat by Alan Floyd earlier this year?
Not a single bit.
I think he did because he made some remarks to me. He's just a complete sore loser.
Next question. See, this is exactly the kind of rhetoric and divisiveness that we do not need on our quorum court. We need accountability. We need common sense and management. I would invite you.
Why did Jason Brazil get beat then?
You'd have to ask him. You'd have to go out and ask our people in our district.
Exactly.
Next question.
What's the biggest difference between you and your opponent?
I think the biggest difference between me and my opponent is that I understand the duties of the quorum court. It's important to me that we stick to the state code that defines what the duties and tools are that the quorum court can use to affect the issues in our district that affect and find resolutions. Next question. Jean?
What do you see as the biggest threat to Garland County and how would you resolve?
That's really a good question. I think really the biggest threat to Garland County is the poverty. The poverty is what affects our food insecurity, unaffordable housing. It increases crime rates. I think it's very important to address poverty. It's really the crust of all the issues or the defining issue that starts. It's important to me that we recruit businesses that pay a livable wage. It's important to me that we find ways to increase affordable housing. We have a new district, a new area that's coming in our District 8, which District 8 is one of the fastest growing districts in Garland County. We have a new area coming out that's going to offer 108 affordable homes off of South Rogers. These are homes that qualify for special financing, special down payments. They have a set rate of how much the house is going to cost, and that's important in our district. We have a lot of people that come out there because we do have the best school in Garland County, Lake Hamilton. We also have a lot of businesses that are coming out and finding areas and finding land and understanding in our area that we have a great support system. We have a diverse population. We have, like I said, we have stacked millionaire mansions on Lake Hamilton. And then just a few blocks in, we have single wide trailers where single parent families are struggling to make ends meet. I think it's important that we do everything that we can to bring better jobs, affordable housing, and address this food insecurity.
as a quorum court member, what is your idea about how to bring businesses out there, how to bring jobs to Garland County?
That's a good question. I think, first of all, being able to just be open to the idea and making sure that we are listening and looking for industries that are interested in our area. It's also important that we have the least regulations possible, but also not to disrupt our community or disrupt the services that are provided, but bringing in new jobs, good paying jobs, not just bringing in more jobs, but it's really important that we bring in jobs that have livable wages. Out in District 8, there are areas that are food deserts in District 8. A food desert is anywhere from 11 miles where you don't have access to fresh fruit or vegetables.
1 minute.
You see these Dollar Generals popping up all over the place, and God love them, but a frozen pizza is like $7 there, and it's $5 at Walmart. A lot of the people in District 8 don't have the ability to drive. I've been contacted just recently by senior citizens that don't have the ability to drive to get to the food banks or the nonprofits that have been listed either with the Area Agency on Aging or on the Garland County list. We need to be able to get meals to those and provide food for those vulnerable citizens also. Tony?
Hey, at the beginning, we had a lot of questions about the new senior citizen center and what's going on. Is
Yeah.
there anywhere out in the county already that provides meals to senior citizens?
We do have a couple of options, and that's a good question, because out in District 8, it's not really available for Meals on Wheels. So one of the options, it's actually in District 9, but close to my district, at the community church on the corner of Majestic Lodge. Every Wednesday, they offer free meals and activities for seniors. But we also have the ability to order online something called Mom's Meals. Mom's Meals gives you the opportunity to see if you're available for low cost or no cost delivered food to your home. If you're a senior citizen or know someone, take advantage of it. Thanks, you guys. Happy birthday, Jimmy Carter.
Next, for District 9, District 10, we will have the incumbent, Justice of the Peace, Ms. Debbie McGrew.
Goodness, there's advantages to being first, and there's definitely advantages to being last. Being first. But anyway, thank you to the library, especially to Paul. I know he's gonna love this. You know, they tell you it gets easier every time you get up here, and it's easier to speak to people, and it's just not. You know, so let me tell you, from that side to this side, it's just not. I did have a friend tell me today, so we're kind of preparing for this. I didn't put some thoughts together, and she said, just remember, Moses stuttered, and then there's you. Thank you. I'm not sure what that means. I'll take it as maybe I'm one step above, or maybe I'm in part of the waters. I'm not sure which way it goes. So a little bit about me. I am Justice of the Peace District 7. I'm just, goodness gracious, y'all been talking 7 something. District 10, I am running for re-election. So if you guys are in my district. I am married 30 plus years. I'm not going to tell you how many 30 plus years, since then you wouldn't know how old I am. I have 3 children, 3 grandchildren, all live in the district. I am an Arkansan by choice. Moved here back in the 80s. I love my county. I love my district. I'm the western part of Garland County, mostly trees, all the way to the lake, my Garland County line. So I have a lot of rural area in my district. I love to get out, love to meet my constituents. I did get a question the other day, and that's something that's been kind of on my heart is, what have I done? What have you done? Well, one of the things that you hear a lot of, and everybody, because I'm number 10, everybody's kind of gotten all of them, but one that the judge did miss is, I pick up miles and miles and miles of trash on the side of the road. We do that twice a year. We love to see a lot of volunteers from that. Another thing, I've also appointed to the task force for the Senior Citizen Center because I do a lot of outreach. I'm president of the Board of Recovery Ministry, and we serve women in crisis. So I do have a lot of experience with what you guys talk about, the poverty level, you talk about women in crisis, you talk about pulling together the community, and you guys are the community. So if you want to know what we're doing about it, be involved in it. Serve in Salvation Army. If you've ever served one of those lunches and you've seen those kids come through, like he said, it's a tearjerker. It will really melt your heart on what the community can put together and bring to this community. And as a justice of the peace, I think that my conservative voice is probably one of my strongest values. I come from small business, budgeting, finance. I went over every line item of the budget. Yes, it is online. Yes, you can find it. It's 5 million pages, but I've been through every line of that. So I think that is important in serving on that committee. So, any questions? You guys be gentle. Yes, sir.
Is there any particular issue or goal you have for the next board session 2 years after you're reelected?
One of the things, like everybody's been talking about, one of our biggest issues is the senior center. I think it's important, not only just for seniors, the Meals on Wheels, and if you've ever seen that in motion, and I have, we have a senior facility that services a lot of our seniors in our building. It's pretty amazing, and that's one of the things that we do not need to lose in Garland County. And one of the things, and I compliment the judge on this, pulling this all together without having to raise any taxes, I think was a phenomenal idea. I wish I had thought of it. So I really would have taken it to you. But that would be one of the main issues. The other would be, that limited government. We want to keep that level down there. So, any other questions? Okay, that's your so kind.
Thank you. Up next, we have Judy Dare, representing the Democratic Party in the challenge.
Good evening, everyone. I am Judy Dare, candidate for Justice of the Peace, District 10. And as time is of the essence tonight, I am going to bullet point my remarks. This is what I believe in. I believe in honesty, responsibility, and accountability for myself and others. I believe in wise use of our tax dollars. I believe to service my community and to work for the good of others. I come from a family of workers. We had a family business. I grew up in a family business. I do know what hard work is, and I'm willing to do it again. What have I done to prepare for this job? It's a big job. Both Stacey and I attended Emerge candidate training. Now, if you've never sat through 27 hours of Zoom classes in a 3-day period, you will know that it is tough stuff, and we managed through it. That class teaches very ethical campaigning, and it's somewhat like drinking from a fire hose. I also attended weekly discussion groups where we get together and talk about county issues, the quorum court, what we should be looking for on the quorum court, and how we should behave on the quorum court and in public. And that shouldn't be something that we have to really be taught how to do. I think that my candidate teammates and I have done a wonderful job in really navigating this system. So I've attended the quorum court sessions and the committee council sessions throughout the year to learn the job of a JP and how important they are to the county. The funny thing about it is when I told my neighbors I was running, they were like, "You want to marry people?" And I'm like, "No, not really. I will if I have to, but really I would like to be part of the governance of this county and make a change for the better." I've attended a Rockefeller Center workshop on community building. And this Friday, I am proud to say I will be attending the Bridge to Hope workshop, which is a program that raises awareness and better understanding of poverty and includes actions and solutions to cure that. I am also a member of Leadership Hot Springs, class of 37, and we will be a great class. How I serve my community. Wow. I've been a master gardener. I've joined the giving team and support Food for Thought. I also founded, this is very nerve-wracking at the end of the day. Founded Hope Garden, which has over the past 5 seasons produced over 5,000 pounds of produce for food banks. What I would like to do is see some standardization and some regulation of short-term rentals when I'm on the court, continues to support our library at full advantage and also support our local law enforcement. And be part of a team that builds our awesome new state-of-the-art senior center. My name is Judy Dare, and I'm running for candidate of Justice of the Peace, District 10. Hard to sit in the audience and listen to everybody else. Do you have any questions? Yes.
One of the things you mentioned is you want changes for the better.
Yes.
So what changes for the better are you looking at?
Well, in the last 5 minutes of my speech, I would like to protect our streams and lakes. I would like to have a union with the city. They are the ones who are really in charge of the environment for our waterways. But I think we can work with the quorum court and the city and make a better change for some of the things that are happening in the county. I live in the county. I live on the lake. I have a lift station that's right by my house. Let me tell you, it's a lift station, a sewer lift station. Now,
where do you live?
I live on Thornton Ferry Road in the middle of beautiful District 10. But what happens when it rains, the lift station may or may not work. We walk out of our house, we smell sewer. No one should be walking out of their house and smelling sewer. In addition to that, the sewer line, the sanitary sewer line, runs right through the lake, right to the lake, 20 feet from the lake. So what happens there is on a good rainy season, the water bubbles up through the manhole covers and goes directly to Lake Hamilton. Now, I don't think that's a very safe environment for people to fish, swim in, or live on. So I think there's a lot of things that we could do to fix these problems. The other day, one of my neighbors called and said, the lift station light's on. I said, hey, I've got the sewer department on speed dial on my phone. They know me. I was like, hi, Philip, this is Judy Dare. I'm calling again. So I think we do need to address some of those things. I also think we ought to regulate short-term rentals. This is something that has not been brought up in the county and well, has been brought up and squashed. But short-term rentals in Garland County are unregulated, which means they do bring no tax dollars into the county at all. They have unregulated numbers of guests that can stay at these short-term rentals. They have, you know, when you have an unregulated amount of guests, you have an unregulated amount of cars that are parked on the street. And what does that do? Well, if an ambulance needs to get to my house and there's a car parked there, that's a problem for me. We had garbage trucks stop the other day because of the short-term rental, just clog the road. They act like it's not a public highway. Well, it is. So I think that we really can have another tax stream into the county without charging taxpayer dollars. And I think that ought to come in the form of short-term rental and having yearly leases, license terms. So also, let's talk about community, because we all talked about community tonight. What does a short-term rental do for a community? Nothing. It doesn't build community. Community is unity. And if you have 2 or 3 houses that are only filled 2 or 3 times a month with people who are having a party, and that's what happens. I mean, sometimes you have lovely families staying there, but for the most part, it's people having a party. They do not respect the community. Unfortunately, they do not respect anyone else's property. They walk their dogs and let them do their business in your yard and walk away. And I'm like, really, y'all, this is not how to be a good neighbor. We also need to have, and I'm on my soapbox about this, and I'm really sorry about it, but I really think we have to regulate them to the point where we have a sign on the front of their doors that says, this is a short-term rental. How do I get a hold of the owner? Call XXX, because you cannot get a hold of anyone except the sheriff department, which is already overloaded with work when you need some help with an Airbnb. And I don't want to have to call the sheriff again. I've had to do it one time at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I felt like it was a waste of their time. So I also think that that can help our affordable housing problem, because we have no housing for people who live in the county. One of our friends, Tyler Draper, has been working at Fountain Lake School, Hot Springs School District, and living in Malvern because he couldn't find a place to live. So I think we need to be bringing these things back. Yes.
You said you started the garden program and supply. So you started the program, or what do you do?
30 seconds.
Are you like leaders?
Okay, so the Hope Garden actually is a kind of an offshoot of the Garland County Master Gardeners. It is a non-sanctioned project, which, yes, I founded in 2020 with a small group of Master Gardeners who came out, and we just decided we were going to go for vegetables during the COVID situation because we were going to have food insecurity. So that has been a founding mission of mine, and we plan to continue it on for the next 0 seconds.
We're done. So we're only a little bit late to the VP debate, but thank you everybody for sticking with this, and round of applause for all the candidates and stuff. Date reminders, Monday, October 7th, that is the deadline to register to vote. Early voting starts October 21st. Election day is November 5th. If you're a Garland County resident, you can vote anywhere in Garland County, but you should vote here in the library so we can get our numbers. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good night. One more, we have next week, the library is having a city director candidate forum. The city director forum next Wednesday on the 9th. There is only one district where there's an opposition, so that'll go a lot quicker than this.
Hey, everybody hear that announcement?
Thanks, y'all.
Well,